Welcome to this explainer, everyone. We are jumping right in today because I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for this one. We're about to take a really fascinating macro to micro journey through the mind of entrepreneur and creator Ankur Warikoo. We're going to unpack some of his most profound insights on the deeply conditioned beliefs that basically govern our entire lives, starting with where the global economy is heading and zooming all the way down into the hidden resentments that are quietly ruining our relationships.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to just take a second and think about your current job. You know, the daily grind, the commute, the standard 9-to-5 routine that we've all been told is just completely normal. Well, what if I told you that the very concept of the modern job might literally vanish within the next 2 to 3 decades? I know, it sounds like total science fiction, but the economic currents are already shifting super aggressively in that direction.
Warikoo points out that we are rapidly approaching an era where working just to survive could become entirely obsolete. He argues that with the absolute explosion of artificial intelligence and the massive wealth being generated by tech giants like Tesla, who are busy automating everything from driving to physical labor, we are marching straight toward a system of universal basic income, or UBI. In this near future, survival money is basically guaranteed, which makes traditional work entirely optional.
To understand how this all impacts you, here's our roadmap for the explainer today. We'll be covering 1. The future of work. 2. Why we want things. 3. New versus old generation. 4. Cracks in relationships. And finally, 5. Ego versus self-respect.
Section 1. The future of work, from survival to UBI.
So why do we even go to work in the first place? Well, historically speaking, we didn't. In the pre-industrial era, humans didn't go to an office. We ate when we were hungry, we hunted, we gathered, and that was pretty much it. The entire concept of going to work, sitting in schools to get graded just so you can land a factory job, is actually a really new industrial-era construct. It was essentially designed to create compliant workers for that specific system. But now, as we enter the AI era, this 300-year industrial experiment is just unwinding. We're shifting back out of it, moving towards a reality of universal basic income where you only work if you have a genuine burning passion to solve a problem.
Section 2. Why we want things. The psychology of desire.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that if work truly becomes optional, why do we desperately still want the fancy car or the big job title? Sociologist Charles Cooley actually offers this mind-bending answer. He says, "I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am what I think you think I am." Just let that sink in for a second. Our entire identity and our endless drive for success are largely manufactured by our perception of what society thinks of us. We are basically out there hustling just to fulfill an imaginary persona we've built inside our own heads. Based on Warikoo's insights, we can break our drive down into 3 core psychological reasons. First, exactly as we just saw, societal perception. We desperately want to look successful to our parents, our bosses, and our friends. Second, humans have this inherent evolutionary desire to solve problems and optimize things. We literally love the thrill of achieving a goal. And third, the fear of wasted effort. We want our sacrifices and our hard work to actually mean something. But here's the secret that most people totally miss. True happiness actually comes from the journey of solving the problem, not the destination or getting that shiny trophy at the end. Once you hit the goal, the thrill usually vanishes within 48 hours anyway.
Section 3. New versus old generation. The generational clash.
This rapid shift in how the world operates is creating some massive friction between us and our parents. On one hand, we have the on-demand generation. If you're Gen Z or a millennial, you grew up with apps where food, dates, and entertainment arrive with a single click. So naturally, you kind of expect instant career impact and instant love, right? But on the other hand, we have the survival generation, our parents. For them, patience wasn't just a virtue, it was literally their only way to survive. They had to wait for absolutely everything, constantly saving up for some distant future. It's incredibly important to have empathy for both sides here. Neither is inherently wrong, they're just perfectly adapted to the completely different technological worlds they were born into.
You see, the fear of being selfish really held that entire older generation together, but it also totally trapped them. For our parents, prioritizing yourself was basically viewed as a fast track to hell. You were expected to sacrifice your own happiness for the community and the family, period. No questions asked. But the younger generation is rewriting these rules right now. They're realizing that constantly sacrificing your own well-being isn't actually noble, it's suffocating.
Section 4. Cracks in relationships. The relationship matrix.
And this brilliantly illustrates Wariku's 2x2 matrix, which shows us exactly how this modern impatience and fear of selfishness can completely ruin intimate relationships. Look at that middle scenario. You could spend a highly significant amount of time together, 5, 10, even 15 years. But if your shared experiences are mismatched, say one person privately rates a vacation an 8 out of 10 and the other secretly rates it a 2, you are at an extremely high risk of divorce. See, divorce doesn't happen just because of a lack of time spent together. It happens because two people are living entirely different emotional realities within the exact same relationship.
So how do we actually end up with that dangerous mismatch? Well, it happens chronologically in 4 very silent steps. Step 1. One person just stops speaking honestly. This is usually because they're afraid of being called selfish if they try to set a healthy boundary. Step 2. The other person stops listening and just assumes everything is perfectly fine. Step 3. This total inability to communicate fuels an unspoken, lethal resentment that just builds and builds over years. Every forced yes adds another drop of poison to the well. And finally, step 4, the relationship breaks completely, which often leaves one person totally blindsided.
So I really have to ask you, and I want to challenge your conditioning here. Is it wrong to be selfish and walk away if you are absolutely miserable? We are deeply, deeply conditioned by society to believe that walking away is a failure. But think about the empty cup metaphor. You simply cannot pour from an empty cup. If you've given absolutely everything to a partner until you are entirely depleted, choosing to walk away isn't a malicious act. It's simply acknowledging that your cup is empty, and staying would only end up destroying both of you.
Section 5. Ego versus self-respect. The core fix.
We are now arriving at the most deeply personal conclusion of this explainer. What is self-respect? Self-respect is keeping the promises you make to yourself. It's really that simple. If you say you're going to go to the gym and you actually go, your self-respect grows. If you say you're going to set a boundary with your partner and you follow through and do it, your self-respect solidifies. This is the true foundation of absolutely any healthy relationship. Because without self-respect, you aren't actually offering genuine love to a partner. You just become needy, dependent, and constantly seeking validation, all because you don't even respect yourself.
Now contrast that with ego. Ego is just an illusion you create to protect a fragile identity. A lot of people confuse the two, but ego is actually the greatest enemy of true self-respect. Ego says, hey, I'm the boss. I can't look weak by apologizing. But self-respect says, I value my own integrity, and I value my partner enough to be vulnerable and admit when I'm wrong. Ego blocks human connection. Self-respect is what actually fosters it.
So, when it comes to compromising for the person you love, understanding this distinction is absolutely vital. Willful action, which is dropping your ego to comfort a partner because you genuinely want to and you value the relationship, is incredibly healthy. It's a beautiful act of love. But expected action, compromising because you feel pressured, forced, or you're terrified of what society or your family will think, is highly toxic. That forced expectation is exactly what breeds the kind of silent resentment that destroys marriages.
As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Are you acting out of ego or self-respect? Think about it. In your career, in your family dynamics, in your romantic relationships, are you actually keeping the promises you make to yourself, or are you just desperately trying to maintain a fake identity for society? Take a real hard look at your choices today. The answer to that question might just change the entire trajectory of your life. Thanks so much for learning with me today. Keep questioning those conditioned beliefs, and I will catch you in the next explainer.